What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. We're gonna go over some nice dungeon rolls for you guys over the next couple days here up until Act 2, just because we're gonna get some new drops during Act 2, a lot of different changes to the sandbox, so wanted to cover these dungeon rolls from the Sundered Doctrine right here, starting us off actually with the Unloved. This is a strand primary weapon that is a heavy burst actually, so it's firing a big old 2-round burst inside of these hand cannons. Got a few of them out there. I personally think this one feels the most crispy indeed, definitely in the Crucible, and has some pretty good damage output on the PvE side. I know I'm talking a little bit slow, but tis what it is. My brain is broken right now, so I appreciate all you guys for sticking with me. So for these Sundered Doctrine weapons, we got ourselves Subjugation. Weapons adapt to the targets when dealing damage to weak targets. Shots explode to targets that are strong. Targets become exhausted, and to Guardians, we actually get flinch resistance, which is why, or at least one of the reasons why this thing feels so crispy. Exhausted targets deal reduced damage to us, so super nice on those champions, mini bosses if you're using this. So starting us off PvE wise, we're going to go with small bore as our barrel, gives us that +7 stability, +7 to range, and then I'm also going to go with a reload masterwork on this thing so we can get our stats to about 70, 80 in the range, and then as well as like 40 in stability with 40 in reload, feeling, like I said, super crispy inside of the game. Magazine on this bad boy, I am going with a pendant mag, gives us a couple extra shots in the magazine, +4 to that, so feels the best in my opinion for PvE. Third column, we got two options for y'all with Hatchling as our first one, Dragonfly as our second. Hatchling precision final blows or rapidly defeating targets grant us threadlings at that target's location, very good for that strand synergy, and our little threadlings can be very powerful, especially if you are pairing it with like the strand subclass or even things on our artifact this season. Dragonfly pretty solid as well because precision final blows create that elemental explosion, so pretty nice to get another little ad clear aspect on this bad boy. Kind of the same thing as Hatchling in my personal opinion. Felt pretty solid for me having this as my #1 choice. Three options this time for y'all inside of the fourth column. We got Paracausal Affinity, Elemental Honing, and Tear. Precision final blows cause nearby targets to become severed, so pretty solid again for that strand synergy. Doing something like this with that Dragonfly, I do really like. We got ourselves that Elemental Honing as well, dealing unique elemental damage, grants this weapon stacking damage bonus. This bonus is increased for those kinetic weapons, so we're getting upwards of that 35-40% damage increase on this bad boy when we get it stacked all the way up to ×5. And then Paracausal Affinity, haven't seen these on some weapons since I don't even know what raid that was, but our Soul Drinker raid with Rulk, I believe. Paracausal Affinity, not Rulk, Nezeract actually, but Paracausal Affinity, final blows of the energy type matching this weapon grant us damage for a short period of time. So light final blows are that Arc Solar Void obviously, and then darkness is our stasis and strands, so we don't even need to get strand final blows, we can get stasis as well. Getting this to stack up, giving us that 20% damage increase for 6 seconds, definitely can be very good inside of the PvE realm. I think personally, if you're looking for some crazy strand synergy, I would go with Tear and Hatchling, but I personally like Tear Dragonfly as probably my #1 choice. Elemental Honing is probably my second choice right behind Tear. I just like having Sever, Unravel as much as I can, for the verbs in this game are pretty disgusting, so if I can get weapons to do that without having to use something in a subclass, in an aspect, in a fragment, even better in my personal opinion. So that's what I would personally go with. I was really liking this thing. I would probably give it a good 4.6 out of 5 for the PvE realm. I really like this thing, definitely been using it a lot. Throwing it on something like Lucky Pants on a Hunter is pretty solid. Even throwing it on anything with that strand synergy, if you go like Threadlings and those boots that we got with the Swarmers for our Warlock, pretty solid indeed. But also feels really good in the Crucible, which we will cover right here with the God Roll. PvP side, we're going to start out with our barrel, as the polygonal rifling right here gives us that plus 10 to stability. Feels the best in my personal opinion because we're at about 75 and in range 60 in that stability. So one of the reasons why it feels so crispy, as well as with that subjugation origin trait, we are getting less flinch on our guns because we're doing damage to guardians with this bad boy. For me, definitely going with ricochet in our magazine because 5 to range, 10 to stability. I like having that stability up in the 60s like I have it because of that 2-round burst. Does have a little bit more bounce than your typical one-shot hand cannons, so it's feeling really good. I was doing about 53 in the headshots, so that's 106 in the head if you are hitting it, just like in Crucible, stuff like that. It's very good. I would say 3 options in the third column here. We got ourselves Rapid Hit, Killing Wind, and Outlaw. Rapid Hit would probably be my number 1. Rapid Precision Hits temporarily gives us increase to reload on stability. We got ourselves that Killing Wind. Final Blows grant us mobility, range, and handling. Also very good. Would probably be my second choice. And then last, we got that Outlaw. With those precision defeats, we're gonna get super fast reload with this thing, which it already has 30 in the reload, so it doesn't feel terribly slow, but it could be better. I think, like I said, I would go with probably Rapid Hit as my number 1, with Killing Wind as a very close second. They could really be interchangeable, but I like having stability over like range and handling on this bad boy. Third column, I would go with 3 options again. If you are absolutely slaying out, you could go with Kill Clip. We also got ourselves Frenzy and Closing Time. Closing Time is my personal favorite and what I would go with, but Kill Clip reloading after a kill grants us increased damage. It's a 25% damage increase for 5 seconds. Frenzy, also very easy to get procced if you are in combat for an extended period of time. You get handling, reload, and a damage boost, so basically always having 15% damage increase and 100 handling on this bad boy. Not too shabby for the Crucible, but like I said, we got ourselves that Closing Time. Improves range, accuracy, handling as the magazine gets lower. So I personally like this the best because sometimes, you know, just not always going to be slaying out with Kill Clip. Sometimes if you're being like a little sneaky boy running around corners and stuff like that, sometimes Frenzy's not going to get procced, but Closing Time, very nice because as the magazine gets lower, that's always going to happen unless you're like an average reloader, stuff like that. But I personally like this thing. Really good in the PvP realm as well, so I would go with a good 4.6, 4.7 as well out of 5 inside of the PvP realm. They are about the same in my personal opinion. Can do good damage, can't flinch because, or I should say less flinch because of the subjugation origin trait that we have on this inside of the Crucible. We can exhaust targets in PvE realm, so I would definitely try to farm this out if you do happen to complete the Catalyst run and that secret quest collecting all the worms inside of the Sundered Doctrine Dungeon. At the end, you can actually focus what weapons you are going to go for, so definitely to focus this one, as well as our shotgun is very good in my opinion, which we will be covering tomorrow. So appreciate all you guys for always coming back to the channel. Means a lot to me, means a lot to the channel. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe, slap that bell if you haven't, so you guys get all the notifications here. We got some big things coming up here in the future, so be on the lookout for that. All my socials and stuff down below, but I appreciate all you guys again. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.